guys, it's Katie here. If you're unfamiliar with me, I am the Katie behind all of the patterns at Katie DeGraff Knits, the host of the Katie Knits podcast, which you are currently enjoying, and creator of all of the other videos you will find here on my channel. If you haven't already, take a minute and subscribe. It doesn't even take a minute. All you gotta do is click the little subscribe button so you don't miss out on another one of my videos. And while you're at it, give this video a like, thumbs up, so YouTube knows you are watching. Today for me is Friday, February 13th, and this is episode 24 of the Katie Knits podcast. So what do we have to look forward to today? I have not one, but two FOs for you today. I also have some whip news, a brand new cast on which I cannot put down, a load in the Target basket from the New England Farm and Fiber Fest, my haul, some sourdough news, some quilting news, a brand new book, which I can't wait to share with you, and probably some other things thrown in. So grab something cozy to drink, your project, and let's catch up. Let's go right into FOs because that has to do with what I'm wearing. This is my finished Finch Sweater, holiday style. And as you saw a couple podcasts ago, I already purchased the yarn for a second. So excited. Oh my goodness. So we'll run down some stats and then I'll talk about it. So I started it on November 19th. I finished it on February 6th. My original goal was to have it to wear at Christmas, but that went out the window. I had other priorities and I don't care. I have it now and I'm going to have it. This is the Finch Sweater by Suman An, or her handle everywhere else is Delbo Dre. I knit the size 3 using a US 4 or 3.5 millimeter needle. I knit this out of Moonglow Merino DK in their Frosted Forest collection colorways. For yarn, I was thrilled with my estimations with this. I used a total of 332 grams of Maine. I used 114 grams of the Silver Sage, which is this like minty sagey color. I used 110 grams each of Dorothy, which is the red, and Pathfinder, which is the dark green. So that means I have 38 grams left of the Maine, 10 grams left of the Silver Sage, and 12 grams each left of the Dorothy and Pathfinder. Perfect amounts. I'm thinking I might want to try a colorwork hat or either a head, maybe a headband and some mitts. I think I could get out of that. Perfect amount left over. Not too much, but enough for a project. So that made me very, very happy. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of the pattern. I fell in love with this pattern when I saw Yeji of Andmadeco and Laura of Tiny Human Knits both testing it. I loved it. I earmarked it. I saved it everywhere so I knew when it was coming out. So excited. And sorry we're boring you, Beasley. And as soon as I saw Laura of Tiny Human Knits do a striped version, I was like, I want that striped. Because I really wanted a holiday sweater, but I didn't want it to be fussy. I wanted it to be more casual, but in holiday colors. And Whitney of Moonglow Yarn Co. was coming out with their holiday update. I'm like, this is perfect. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I loved her Frosted Forest colorways for this. So I knew it had to be. It was just meant to be. I finished this in time to wear to Boston, to the New England Farm and Fiber Festival. I put it on for the very first time Sunday morning, like 20 minutes before we left, unblocked. I knew I wasn't going to have enough time to wet block it. So I'm like, I'm just going to skip it totally because I really want to wet block it. Not that I really wanted to stretch it out or anything. I just wanted to even everything out. I really wanted it to be wet blocked and it would not dry in time. It is winter time. Stuff takes like a week to dry. So that's how it goes. But I put it on and I didn't even see it. I put it on in the kitchen and John was like, that came out really good. That looks really nice. And I ran in the bathroom and I was like, oh my gosh, I so wish that I had more time to wind up the yarn for my second so I could work on that in the car on the way up to Boston. It is that good. Holy cow. I am going to tell you the only modifications I made besides adding the striping was I did pick up fewer stitches for the neck and the sleeves. I like a tighter neckline and I have smaller arms, so that both fit. Then I initially knit the neckline to pattern, and I saw pretty much both Laura and Yeji wound up ripping out their necklines and redoing them. So I was prepared for that. So I did it to pattern, lived with it, didn't like it, knew I was going to rip it out. I didn't rip it totally out. I just ripped it back, picked out my bind off basically, put it back on the needles, knit it twice the length, and then made a nice folded over neckband. Now, in the last podcast, I already went over all my details with you. When I tacked it down, I only tacked down my knits, and then my pearls, I just did a regular stretchy bind off. That kept the neckline stretchy. When you do tack down for a rolled collar, brim, any of that jazz, it can really tighten up. And this way, by only doing every so many, it tacked it down enough that it's not gapy, and then it left the stretchiness in there. I did use the stripe modifications that Laura mentioned in her podcast that she did with hers. The fit is perfect. I did go down a needle size or 2. Can't remember what the pattern called for, but I did go down. I can't back up too much because Micah's standing here, of course. But blocked, it's perfect. It is the perfect boxy fit. The arms aren't too big. Even if I would have picked up the required stitches that are in the pattern, my arms still wouldn't have been too big. I absolutely hate it when you have these like, I don't want to say oversized sweater patterns, but more of a boxier fit, that the arms are like behemoth. And then so you're like flying away. Can't stand that. These are not, they are perfect. I did not do any modifications to any of the cuffs, hem, any of that jazz. The only thing I did, like I said, was pick up fewer stitches and go down needle size. I have all notes. Everything I used for the stripes, the amount of rows and all that jazz. It's on my Ravelry project page, which is linked below. But I am so happy with this. Oh my goodness. And a super huge shout out to Whitney of Moonglow Yarn Co. for the amazing dye job. As you can see, I have not one, but 2 heavily saturated colors in this with a very neutral background. So I like to live on the edge. When I block, I just stick the sucker right in the water. I do use cold water, and if I have any indication that things may run or bleed, I will tend to let the water run first and run off into a bowl so I can kind of see, is that water changing color at all? I just dunked this sucker. I could tell by the coloring on the yarn and the way it was, I knew it wasn't going to run or bleed. I had legit crystal clear water, which is enormously impressive, and huge shout out to Whitney for doing an awesome rinse job on this yarn. And that may sound silly. Don't all dyers rinse their yarn until the water runs clear? Some don't. And I have found several times with especially larger dyers or dyers that have an enormously large quantity that they're dyeing of a saturated color, I will get runoff. But everything is set properly, so it doesn't pick up anywhere. It's just excess dye runoff. It is not bleeding into anything else. So huge shout out to Whitney. If you're wanting a heavily saturated color, go give her a look. And I know she's coming out with her spring update. I believe, I want to say it was March 12th. I just watched her latest knit chat this morning. Can't remember. I think it's the second weekend in March. Second or third week in March. Middle of March. I will put it up on my Instagram when it happens to remind everyone. Probably mention it here too if I remember. But I make no promises on remembering that. But I'm really tempted to pick up another sweater quantity of her Merino DK with 0 plans just to have, because this is luscious. This is so soft, but it's not like pilly soft. I hate it when people say, oh, this yarn is so soft, because when I hear the word soft, all I think of is pilling. And I don't believe, I mean, eventually everything pills. I think this is going to really be a workhorse, especially in this half fisherman's rib pattern. So amazing. So I'll chat about the pattern for just a second. This pattern is so well written. It is so clear. It is so straightforward. It is so precise and pristine. All of the details in between the short rows, and just how everything lines up. It is just so perfect. And yes, it is seamed. The way you're working this is you start at the back, you work some short rows, then you work the entire back panel, and then you pick up on each side to work the fronts, work the entire front panel, pick up each sleeve, work that, and then you are seaming each side. So often nowadays, everybody is so afraid of seaming. And I get it. You don't want that extra step. After you finish a project, you bind off. You don't want to do anything else but weave in your ends and be done. I get it. I really do. But seaming does add integrity and structure to your projects. And as long as you take an extra second to be articulate and careful and mindful when you seam, you're good to go. And it really doesn't take that much time. When I seamed this up, I don't even know what a mattress stitch is. It calls to mattress stitch. It calls to mattress stitch everything together. I just lined it up and went through one purl bump of the garter edge and then back through another. Same on both sides. Made sure it was not tight at all, but also in the same account, not too loose, so that it's not gapy. So you can see the seam, which I'm totally fine with. And I think it just makes it look that much more handmade, and it just fits. And I love it. I'm so happy with this sweater. I can't wait to cast on my other one. I'm going to wait until I'm done with my Mozart, which, spoiler alert, is my new cast on, which you'll see here in a minute, before I cast on my other Finch. I am loving this so much. So squishy, so comfortable, half fisherman's rib all over. If you want to add stripes, I followed Laura of Tiny Human Knits suggestions, and I put those on my Ravelry project page too. Just make sure you work some rows after you join your right and left front, before you work your body. Otherwise it's going to pull and be weird. My next one, I have the rainbow colors from Granite State. I plan on chunking the stripes here and having a wider band of mane here and then a wider band on the bottom, and then doing something different with the sleeves. I may I kind of almost want to do the sleeves different. So I may want to do like a striping up here on one and then maybe a striping down by the cuff on the other. I don't know. I'm just going to play with it and it's going to be my fun one that I can just wear all over the place. But I'm going to make the same size. I'm going to use the same needles. I'm going to do the same neck and sleeves, and pretty much everything is going to be the same except the yarn. So I cannot wait for that. Okay, next up, my second finished object, which I did want to finish to wear to Boston on Sunday, but I didn't get a chance to. Totally fine. I had another hat to wear, is my Harlow hat. So I will give you the project stats and everything on it, and then we will chit chat about it. This is the Harlow Hat by Andrea Mowry. I started it on November 19th, finished it February 13th. Yes, I wove in my ends this morning. So I'm considering this morning my actual finish date. Last week, you saw it where I had accidentally decreased all the way down here and I had to ladder down. So I kind of mentally wasn't prepared to fix it. So that's why it sat for like a week. But anyway, finished it on February 13th. I did make the size adult large. I made the adult large for John too, and I used fingering. Well, I technically used a sport weight for him, but I think it kind of worked up as like a heavy fingering. I used a size 2 for his. I used a size 1.5, or what is that? 2.5 millimeter needle for mine. I did not change needle size between the brim and the main part of the hat, left it all the same. For this hat, the major modification that I made, this was a sock set from Dragon Hoard Yarn in their Myth fingering in the Running Up That Hill colorway. Kate Bush saves lives. If you know, you know. But it came with 2 minis. I really loved the coral mini as the background behind this main color, but I didn't love it on the reverse side. So I worked the entire mini until I didn't even have enough left to complete another round. Then on my next row, I just tacked it down with the cast on edge and it came out pretty damn seamless. Gave me a nice, squishy, perfect height brim. And then I just worked the body of the hat on the same needles in the main color. This entire project took 72 grams of yarn. So I used 20 in my accent mini and 52 of the main color. So if you have a sock set that has 2 minis and you don't know what to do with, make yourself a Harlow hat with an accent folded brim. I have 52 grams of main color left and then a full 20 gram mini. Perfect amount for a pair of socks. So I'm going to get a brioche hat with contrast folded brim and a pair of socks out of one sock set. So I consider that perfect value and yarn usage. Like all the time, I really don't. There's a lot of people that really do value the getting the most for their buck, the most bang for their buck. I really like to use up the most yarn I possibly can. So I will be making myself a pair of socks with leftovers. I had mentioned earlier, and I had went into detail last week about, let me find where it is. If I zoom in on this, you can see where I did ladder all the way down. Once I wear it, or if I chose to block it, you would never be able to see that. Somewhere way down here, so like barely above the brim, I accidentally decreased. I didn't realize that until 3 inches up here. That was a real oh shit moment for me. I I couldn't believe it because I had my stitches split evenly on 2 circular needles. And I'm like, why did I not realize until 3 inches up that my rows don't end and start the same as the other one? Anyway, I did figure it out. I added the missing knit stitch back, and I had laddered down, showed you last week, by gathering each pair of strands together on a little light bulb stitch marker. I used one color for the knits, and I had to drop the purl stitch next to it as well to loosen everything up enough to create that extra knit stitch that I was missing. So the knits were in one, the purls were in the other. The knit column was very easy for me to create and pick up. I just laddered down a few extra rows so I could get the feel for it. Great. The purl column next to it, I couldn't wrap my head around it. I couldn't vision it. It was blowing my mind. So I put it aside. I'm like, I don't have the brain space for this. I don't have the brain power. Beam me up, help me out here. I was lost. So I just put it aside. And then one night in bed, I'm like, the knits were so easy. Why don't I just turn it inside out and work it from the inside? So the next morning I turned it inside out, but it still wasn't coming. It seemed like there was like an extra little something there. So I jumped on YouTube and I was looking up brioche tutorials for fixing your mistakes. And the number one mistake you're probably ever going to make in 2-color brioche is, especially in 2-color, is a float on the wrong side. And I did have that earlier on in this piece. Fixed it with no problem. I couldn't find laddering down. Finally, I directly searched for laddering down in brioche, and I came across the most perfect video by Purl Together. If you're a brioche knitter, you need to save this video. Or even if you're thinking about brioching, you need to save this video. She literally saved my hat. It was perfect. It was clear, concise, exactly what I needed. If I could hug her, I would. Go check her out. Save that video because it's literally the perfect thing. And she did start by turning it inside out, but she gave me exactly what I needed to do. And it took me a couple tries to get the feel for it. And I was laddering down like 3 inches, or laddering back up at that point. And that's a lot. But once I got the groove, I did it in less than 5 minutes. And I was already at the top. I was like, I finished that. Oh my gosh. So absolutely perfect tutorial. Thank you, Purl Together, for that. A great tip. Okay, so that's it for FOs. The only other active whip that I've made progress on this week is my Funfetti Mystery Knit Along, the version that I'm knitting along with all of you. I am behind a little bit. I just finished clue 1. Whoopsie. So if you are knitting it and you don't want to be spoiled, look away. There's tons of spoilers on my group on Ravelry. But I did just finish clue 1, so I will show you that now. So this is clue 1. Looks a little silly because half is bound off and half is still live on the needles, which leaves you guessing you're putting this piece aside until clue 4. What are we doing next? And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to kind of, keep you guessing or wondering, where are we going from here? But once you get through all of the string of purls, the purl 3 togethers, there were several people that told me flat out that they said very bad things to me and while they were working these, and I knew that was going to happen. I knew it, but I am so grateful that so many of you are sticking through this because it gets much less fiddly. We have a few fiddly parts in clue 2, and after that, it's literally smooth sailing. So I am absolutely loving the way this Miss Babs Estrelita is working up. I am not a sparkle person, and this was a charity colorway that they came up with. So it sat on my stash forever. I just loved it on the sparkle base. I had no idea just how many tones and different colors were in this until I started working it up. I'm so happy I found a way to use it that I will actually wear. So just a little recap, I'm using Miss Babs Estrelita and then Yummy 2-ply. For this, it is half bound off. I decided not to do a picot bind off on this one. I decided to do just an I-cord, just for something different. And yeah, I will cast on Clue 2 this weekend, and I really would like to get Clue 2 done this weekend. The Clue 3 does not come out until Wednesday, so I do have a little bit of time, but I would really like to get it done this weekend. So, and my little Unikitty is adorning it from Kelsey of Littlest Yarn Co. And she sent me a message on Instagram. She's like, you know, I got several custom orders for Unikitty's bestie, Rainbow Rosie. So she also, I guess if you want Rainbow Rosie to go along with your Unikitty, pop on over to her shop when she reopens it, because she had to close it for a few weeks because she got inundated with kitty cat orders. But you can place a custom order for Rainbow Rosie, and she's insanely adorable. So you want little Unikitty's bestie, you can go get it. I just love, as you guys know, I love Kelsey's work, and she is so talented. She has no clue. But anywho, this is my Funfetti Clue 1 finished. I will be casting on Clue 2 this weekend. And that is living in my Love It Amsterdam bag that John got me for Christmas. I've always wanted one of these. So I'm actually using it. I did work on both pairs of my socks and Sophia's cardigan a little bit. Not enough to bother you with the progress here. So yeah, I'm not going to bother showing those. But now we're coming to new cast on time. I went into the New England Farm and Fiber Festival with one pattern specific plan to purchase yarn, and then one I kind of wanted something, but my pattern specific purchase. This is a little wrinkly now because it was in my bag and stuff. For the Mozart Pullover by Caitlin Hunter. I don't like to directly copy designers' main samples. I always like to do something different. But this brown, I knew I wanted a more rustic yarn, and there was going to be lots of smaller farms there. I knew I could find it. Upland Fiber Co. was teasing their brand new base. They were actually one of the last stops in my round in looking at all the different bases. It was narrowing it down, like this is possibility, that's possibility. And then I got there and I touched it and I knew instantly, it almost brought tears to my eyes, because when you have an envision, or when you have a vision in your head of the yarn you're looking for, either a color or a texture or something, and you actually find it, it's like the heavens open up and it's an ah moment, because everything just fits together, and it was just a match made in heaven. I picked up 6 skeins of Upland Fiber Co.'s brand new base, Polypaca, in the colorway Pete. This is 220 yards per 100 grams. It's a worsted weight. And the yarn is a 3-ply semi-worsted spun. Farm sourced and milled in the Northeast US. All 100% undyed, beautiful naturalness. it's so absolutely amazing. We are 50% American Polypaca and 50% American alpaca. Something I wanted to do this year was branch out. I wanted to get out of my tight twist, super wash merino era and explore everything that the yarn and fiber community has to offer. This was perfect. Literally could not fit the bill color-wise, texture-wise. I couldn't ask for anything more. Right down to the fact that there are little tiny bits of, I don't know if you can see that, little tiny bits of hay left in here. It is so, I consider this rustic soft. It is very gentle on your hands, but it's not rough. It's not like pilly soft. I was so excited. I was just like, yeah. I gave it to Michael to check out and he's like, you have some specific plans. And I was just like word vomiting everything to him, my entire plan. And yeah, oh my gosh. So needless to say, as soon as we got home and I unloaded everything and, you know, took care of the dogs and whatnot, I wound up my first cake of this and cast it on. I was like, we were going to watch the Super Bowl, but we decided to. So glad the Seahawks won. Sat down with my first cake, my pattern, my needles, some other new things that I will show you, and worked away. I couldn't put it down. I still can't put it down. Did not work on it at all today. I'm going to try to work on a few other things. And this pattern is flying off my needles so much, I really want to enjoy it. So I'm forcing myself to put it down. Oh, you want to see my progress. So it is living in another acquisition from the New England Farm and Fiber Festival. This is from Tanae Casey. It is one of her yarn tubs buckets. Has a beautiful waxed bottom, waxed canvas bottom, and it's just the cutest. It's so adorable. It's just going around everywhere and it fits everything perfectly. So I am winding this up cake by cake as I use it. But this is all I have left of my first skein. It's literally just flying off my needles. Another new acquisition is my quilted, hand-painted quilted stitch marker from Sassafras Knits. Picked that up on Sunday as well. I'm working up the back, and this is how far I am. It's so amazing. When you look at a pattern that is heavily cabled, also contains lace, your brain instantly hurts a little. By the end, this is 2 full charted repeats. By halfway through, actually probably 3/4 of the way through the first one, I had it memorized. I haven't touched it since. It is so incredibly, ridiculously easy to memorize and work up. The yarn is so soft and luscious on your hands. It is so amazing. So, little pattern details. This is the Mozart Pullover by Caitlin Hunter. It has a recommended needle size of 8, a US 8, which is a 5mm. I went down to a US 5, 3.75mm. I wanted a denser fabric. So I have a 38-inch bust, and I went up to a size 3 in the pattern, which is supposed to be a finished chest circumference of 53.75 inches. So I figured by going down so many needle sizes, I would go up to that and it would be perfect. And it is. It's going to be the perfect size for me. Holy cow. Oh my goodness. Yeah, did I gauge swatch? to figure out the sizing. No, I don't gauge swatch. I'm really bad at that, but I'm so happy with this. Oh my goodness, look at how luscious those cables are. And this yarn and this base makes me so happy because I did not want the tight twist of a superwash. I didn't want the extreme stitch definition that yarn composition can bring to a cable. I wanted something more rustic. And I got it. I got it in spades. It's literally perfect. The yarn pattern combo, oh my gosh. So by the time this video airs, I hope there's some Polypaca left for you from Upland Fiber Co. Just run. It's amazing. It is beyond amazing. And I'm so happy that I got it. And I was like, when are you guys putting this on your website? I need more. I need more. I wanted to get John a sweater quantity as well. And I put the colors up and I asked him, I'm like, which one would you wear? And he's like, honestly, I'd wear any of them. And he's like, which one do you have? And I told him, and he's like, well, that one would be cool. So I set an email reminder or like an alert for when their newsletter came out. Because they said, by the end of the week, we hope to have it up and watch out for the newsletter. So I set an alert on my email. And just after 6 o'clock this morning, I got the alert that I got the newsletter. It went live. So I had texted John. He can have his phone where he's working right now. And I'm like, which color, which color, which color? And it took us just a couple of minutes to figure a color out. And I went and grabbed him a sweater quantity of this exact colorway, which is Pete. We can have matching sweaters. I mean, he's not going to get a Mozart pullover, but he's probably going to get an inch in Half Fisherman's Rib by Rebecca Clow. That's the sweater that I purchased the yardage for. And I figured that's a good yardage for a lot of different things too if he changes his mind. But we can be besties. So now let's chat about my haul. On Sunday, we went to the New England Farm and Fiber Festival, which was held in Boston at the Cyclerama. Really neat little venue. It's pretty cool. It was like negative 5,000 degrees when we got there. The walk back to the car wasn't too bad. But my first stop, I knew, was going to be Golden Earth Designs. Had to get myself a mug. I couldn't decide what mug I wanted at first, but then I'm like, sheep or yarn? Sheep or yarn? I went with sheep, and I'm so glad that I did. My favorite shape of mug is this like squat shape. I prefer this over the tall ones. Oh my god, I love this thing. It's so perfect. I'm like, oh my gosh, mine. And I was so grateful. I didn't grab it. It's upstairs. But Elizabeth got a cup, a bubble cup, which I will insert a photo of. And I'm so grateful to Sam for bringing cold options. Whenever you see pottery, you rarely ever see options for people that don't drink hot beverages, that drink cold. And she doesn't like hot beverages. She likes cold. So she grabbed herself one of those. I also grabbed a little tea bag dish. And me and Sophia got buttons. Oh, my buttons. Sophia has a button upstairs. She's making a tote bag. And she's making it out of green. And she's like, I need to find a button. She's like, I only need one button. And she went through her buttons. And she found the perfect green. And it's this flower button. She absolutely loves it. Buttons I have zero plans for. But I got these beautifully glazed buttons. They're so cool. They're like the perfect size too. They're in between. They're not too small, but they're not too big. I'm not a very big person. If I put some big ass button on me, it's gonna look weird. So these are the perfect size to put in my button collection. Second, I knew I wanted to go to HuMade. I've been following her on Instagram ever since we went to Rhinebeck and Indian Tangled. She was at a Woolen affair and we didn't go there, but I discovered Golden Earth Designs and her through everybody's hauls and what I missed out on. So I knew I wanted to go see her. She does these mohairs that are literally like a painting. They're so pretty. So I knew I wanted to get a mohair and hold it with something else. So she has this brand new sport weight that she debuted, which is 100% Wyoming Rambouillet wool. I got 2 skeins in the colorway Fresh Mint. And this is, again, me branching out. It is so wonderful. And then I was debating on the mohairs. And the first one I grabbed is more like my typical colors. So I went with something that wasn't my typical colors, but I still loved, that I would actually wear. This one is called Fantasy Garden. It literally looks like a Monet painting. It's so pretty. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with these, but I don't have anything like light and springy in colors. So oh my gosh, it's so pretty. So got those from HuMade in no particular order because I can't remember how I purchased things. But I showed you the bag that I got from Tanae Casey. I also got a wristlet from her. So I'm gonna stick that on my keys, or an extra bag that doesn't have a strap maybe, but loved that. I think Elizabeth got one too. She got sheep. Can't remember exactly. The other bag I got, I knew I wanted one of these. This is by Krista Jackal, and she block prints patterns. I loved her sheep. I knew I wanted a sheep. But I also knew, I'm like, what do I need? What can I use? I have been collecting a lot of little tote pouches and Notions pouches, but they're all small. They're like half this size. Well, that doesn't fit. Like, I like to keep a crochet hook, like a beading crochet hook on me at all times for laddering down and fixing things. And what about a pen? None of those fit in my tiny little Notions pouches. So I wanted one that wasn't as big necessarily as a pencil case, but would fit those things. So I got a little sheepy Notions pouch. It's so cute. And it's got the beautiful waxed canvas bottom and super fun zipper. And the inside's so fun. I know when she came back, she only had 2 sheep bags left, and she put them up, so she probably doesn't have any sheep bags left. But I've always also wanted a Krista Jackal bag, so I nailed 2 birds with 1 stone. Got myself an actual usable pouch. So this guy is just going to live in whatever project I'm working on at the time. I already showed you my Polypaca. I've got the rest of it on a shelf over here. And then I have more coming in the mail. Junction Fiber was there, and I grabbed 4 skeins of sea glass in Making Tracks Light last year when they put it on their website. And I never really knew exactly what to do with it. And I wanted something as a foreground color for it, a main color, and use this as the color work color. So I went there, and they had a lot of lighter colors that went with this. And I was really glad that they had this there because I just grabbed a skein and I was just going through and holding it up to everything. They had a lot of lighter colors, but I really kind of wanted to go darker. So I kept my eye out. And after I picked up my Mozart sweater quantity from Upland, we went over to Bloom Woolen Yarns. And she had this basket there. And I was like, what is that brown? It was perfect brown. This is so pretty. This is their Solstice, which is a light DK. 90% wool, 10% mohair. It is a Romney cross and Angora. It is so deliciously wonderful. This is completely undyed, 100% natural color. She did have 5 skeins of this. I grabbed 3 because that's the yardage I needed. Kind of regretting not getting all 5 just for the fact that this is all they had left of this colorway, and it is undyed. All natural, 100%. So this is going to become a pressed flowers pullover. I have been watching for colorwork sweater patterns, and the pressed flowers one just kept coming up. The one thing I am well aware of is that the arm depth is ridiculously huge, so I'm gonna have to modify that, but I think these will be absolutely perfect together. Oh my goodness. Cannot wait to cast that on, and I'm so excited. This is, again, me branching out. This is another all-natural color. It's so fun, and it is so nice. It is soft, but rustic, and I think it's going to be, together, the Making Tracks Light is the same soft rustic, so I think together they're going to make a workhorse of a sweater. And that sweater is mosaically knit, which is not like true color work with floats and everything. So I think I will be okay not screwing it up like I screwed up my herding cat socks several times. I showed you my sassafras marker. Elizabeth also got a Pepsi, cute little Pepsi marker from her as well. And I didn't grab it, but I will put up her little haul. She has a Boo Knits pattern picked out that she was shopping for. She picked up some undyed lace weight from Juliette Picot. It's beautiful. It's so soft and beautiful. It's just in its natural beauty. And she also picked up this beautiful aqua from Dirty Water Dye Works. So she's so excited about those. And my last purchase of the day was a total instant gratification, 0 plans, but I can think of multiple uses right off the top of my head for it. In the middle of our shopping excursion, I walked into Dying Wishes Yarns booth. I fell in love with the colorways. I fell in love with it. But at that point, I didn't even have my sweater yarn for my Mozart, so I walked right out. I'm like, okay, I need to stay on my priorities, and then I'll come back. So at the end of it all, I was under budget, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go, and I'm going to do some instant gratification purchases. And I picked up 3 sock sets from Dying Wishes Yarn. Let's see, the first one I grabbed, this was not a true sock set. It was a mini and then a full skein. This is in her Shocking Superwash Nylon Sock, which is 80% fine superwash merino and 20% recycled nylon. This one is Tales from the Crypt, which I loved the name because I grew up watching Tales from the Crypt. But I loved the colorway. Like, I saw the skein dead on and loved it. Then I turned it around and I saw there was like some blue and pink in it and fell in love with it even more. So I was like, I don't know if I want to use a mini with it, but I'm going to grab a mini anyway. So I grabbed this beautiful like brownie gold mini to go with it. Thought those were great. Then the second one, she had a basket of Winnie the Pooh colorways. And John's actually the one that pushed me to get this one. This one is Hello, Are You Stuck and Rabbit? This would make a great hat. This would make a great Harlow hat with accent brim, just like my Running Up That Hill one. But I could think of several uses for these. So I really don't have this like greeny, pumpkiny. This one's more fall. So I loved that one. Then, right before I was checking out, I saw a basket of these. And I was like, which one do I want? Because it's so fun. This one is called Party at the Brickyards. It's so fun. It's just fun. It's pure fun. Just pure fun. I love it. So these were my instant gratification, zero plans purchases with zero regrets. Sophia also got some earrings. Didn't grab those, but she got those as well. I think that was all of our purchases. John got a bunch of stickers for his stop sign, so he's filling that up more and more. In other news, what is the only responsible thing to do when you go to one fiber festival? You look up where the next one is. So I bought tickets to go. We're going to be going to the Fiber Witch Festival in Salem, Massachusetts in April. We've always wanted to go to Salem. It's going to be a lot of fun. So Sophia is already working on a top that she's crocheting herself, and she has a skirt picked out. She wants to dress up. She's all in. And Elizabeth has some jewelry she wants to try to knit up and possibly embroider, and they're all in. So I kind of felt bad going to, two so close together, but I'm like, you know what? We've always wanted to go to Salem too, so we'll, kill two birds with one stone. So maybe a little irresponsible, but you only live once, right? Sourdough news. My starter's perfect. I took some out and did my first double bake. Not at the same time because I only have one Dutch oven, but yeah, I do need to look into an oval Dutch oven because my cinnamon chocolate chip loaf, I proofed it and fermented it in a oval basket, and then I baked it in the round Dutch oven, so it kind of flattened out a little bit. It was still nice and squishy and puffy, but it would have been better had I baked it in an oval baker. So I do need to look at that. But next time, I need to really pay attention when I laminate in my chocolate chips that they don't all migrate to certain areas, because that's what kind of happened. You could taste it throughout the whole thing, but then it's like, ooh, this one's really chocolatey, and then this slice isn't. So I have to watch that next time. But game changer for grilled cheese. I made another jalapeno cheddar loaf, and we use that for grilled cheese. We will never eat grilled cheese with regular bread again. Thank you, Tasha of Frogget Yarns, for the idea, because it was magical. I think that was the quietest we've ever been during a dinner because we were all enjoying it so much. So I took some of my starter out this morning, and Sunday or Monday, I think we're going to have grilled cheese again because so good. I do have a little quilting update. Tiny little guy. Part of my 2026 plans was to make us, all four of us, quilted stockings. I cut out all of the squares, all bazillion of them. I made a big, huge whoopsie. I thought that I calculated out the squares to be able to pattern not only the fronts of the stockings, but the backs. So John convinced me to do them one at a time in case I want to modify anything or, all that jazz. So I did mine first. I'm like, I'm going to do mine first and get it done. And then if I screw up, it's mine. So I laid out my squares. I made my half square triangles and I trimmed them and did all the things. And I laid them out in the pattern. And I was like, I only have enough to pattern the front, not the back. Yeah, so whoopsie. So the backs are going to be plain, which isn't a big deal. So I did mine. So this is the front of mine. I really didn't pay I want to say super close attention to my corners. They are 90 to 95% matched up and good. And that's all I needed. That's all I wanted. So they are all going to have different patterns on them. I picked mostly green for mine. We all have 4 accent fabrics, and then we all have the same background fabric, which will also be the back. And then I have a metallic snowflake one that's going to go on the tops and on the inside. I'm going to do something with our initials on those. I think it turned out pretty good. It was about, I want to say 2.5 hours to sew all of these strips and then sew them together. A lot of pressing, a lot of running back and forth, but I'm very happy with it so far. And I don't hate the project. I'm putting them down and picking it up, and it's nice to just grab it as a kind of brain cleanser when I'm in other things. So I haven't done any work on anybody else's yet or on my project bags, but maybe this weekend I'll make up some more half square triangles and work on somebody else's. I do have a new book I started. I am reading Vanishing Fleece by Clara Parks. Loved, this may sound silly, but I loved the green on the book and the little sheep and everything. I think it's going to look great on my shelf next to my TV, but I'm also loving reading it. This is a story about, oh, it's not a story, it's a true account of fleece straight from how it was conceived, how the whole flock of sheep was essentially conceived, to creating actual yarn out of it. I'm really enjoying reading about that and diving more into it. It is very interesting. And she references like totally unrelated entities. Like she brought up Michael Pollan, and I can't even remember how she brought him up. And it made me think of, I have one of Michael Pollan's books. So it made me think of food books. I have one somewhere on my shelf over there in my TBR stack. So I think I'll read that after this one. But it's a fun read. I'm on page 36. There's only 179 pages. So I think I'll be done relatively quickly with this one. But it's a great read, especially for us yarny, fibery people. It's just fun. It's not, she does include a lot of the monotonous things, which are details, technical details, which if you only wrote about those, it may be boring, but she throws enough humor and other anecdotes in to make it really interesting. So definitely go check this one out. I think I'm done. I think I have expended everything I want to talk to you about. So sorry for this being a little bit of a longer episode, but I had my haul to go through, so I don't think you minded watching that. I am going to get off of here. I am going to go heat my coffee up because it's cold, of course. When do we ever drink anything that's hot? I did drink my coffee this morning. Well, not all of it. Half of it when it was hot. So I don't know, go me on that front, I guess. But I'm gonna go heat my coffee up, make some lunch, get this uploaded, and pick out my project to take with me because John has a appointment to have his truck serviced or something. I have no idea. So I'm gonna go have some waiting room knitting time. So I will either take one of my socks or my Mozart, probably my Mozart, because I can't put that down and I haven't worked on it at all today. So I'll take my little yarn tub with me and get some peaceful knitting time in. So I hope that you guys all have a chance to work on something cozy and eat something yummy in the next week. And I will check back with you next week for another catch up. In the meantime, happy knitting, everybody.